And we're back. My next guest, Diane Hambric with the Tulsa Master Gardeners. What's it take to be a master gardener?
Well, you have to have a love of some sort of gardening would be the most important aspect I would bring to the table. And so what we do is we look for new master gardeners every year. And in Tulsa, we have over 425 Tulsa Master Gardeners, believe it or not. It's a big group. But it takes a love of gardening. And that can take a variety of different paths. For me, I love landscape gardening. For others, it could be vegetable gardening. For those, might want to do a lot of the educational opportunities and things like that. So lots of different people come to it from very different backgrounds, but they all have a communal love of gardening.
You know, I'm beginning to see more and more of what we're talking about today. In my neighborhood, we have 2 homes where they've even turned their front yards into row after row after row of outside plants. I said that wrong.
Native plants?
Native plants, and they're everywhere.
Right.
And it's amazing what they've done.
And that's kind of a new movement. The whole native plant movement is really taking hold, and it has in the last several years. And it's those plants that can live year to year to year, that don't need a lot of the same maintenance of plants as in the past. So yeah, and some of it can look very natural and native, almost wild looking. But that's kind of the movement and the way it's going.
I have a good friend that's he's involved with, as a volunteer, the Tallgrass Prairie Preserve. And he's always sending me videos or pictures of what he's found. And he gives it names that are about this long, or whatever they are. But by the time I've read his explanation, I feel like I've just finished a course in,
Botany.
Botany, and I'm going, thanks, Thomas. But there's so many folks out there that really know what they're doing.
Yeah, that's actually another area that has shown a lot of development and growth, and that's also a perennial native plant movement, and it's prairie native plants. And we're doing actually one of our presentations at the Lunch and Learn this spring is exactly on that. It's about that new movement that's happening, and it developed at the Tallgrass Prairie. And we have master gardeners that have taken a lot of education there, and they're actually going to be doing a presentation on this new type of movement with landscape needs, landscape in your yard that would have to do with this prairie native plants.
What does it take to be classified as a master gardener?
Well, you have to be educated through our program. Oklahoma State University actually is the educators for us. And you go to an orientation that produces probably 100 people that year that might want to become a master gardener. You go through a process of being vetted and interviewed, and we end up with about 40 master gardeners in each new class. After that, we go through an educational process that takes about 3-4 months. Once a week, we have a full day of classes where we learn everything from botany to landscape to irrigation systems to soil, everything to do with the environment and landscaping and gardening. And after that, you take a final test, and if you are successful, and almost everybody is, you become a Tulsa Master Gardener.
It seems to me like there's some people who could just walk by and throw a few seeds down and it happens.
Yep.
Because they know what they're doing. There's so much clay in our soil that it's hard, really hard, the soil is, but it's hard to get anything to grow unless you have some brought in that will support.
Right, you can have soil brought in and also additives. I do composted manure or some sort of additive almost every year in my beds in order to get that desired growth pattern that you're talking about. It requires work. I mean, you have to weed, you have to, at least, I enjoy weeding. I'm one of those weird people. I actually enjoy doing that. But you put additives, you use fertilizers when necessary. Insecticides, we try to minimalize that. And in fact, we're doing a class, again, on beneficial insects. There's a whole category of insects that are beneficial to gardens.
I didn't know that.
Yes, and they're the good guys. So the whole title of this class is Don't Kill the Good Guys. There's a lot of great insects out there that pollinate. They take our plants and they make them bloom. They help our food sources, all sorts of things like that. So don't kill the good guys. That's one of our classes at our 2 libraries where we are holding these classes. One every Tuesday during the 6-week period beginning March 18th will be at Central Library downtown. Starting March 20th, every Thursday for 6 weeks, these classes will be at the Hardesty Library. So we have 2 opportunities for Tulsans to learn about different gardening things that are just, it's fascinating.
My family, as many have done, survived the Depression.
Yes.
And they did it by growing their own food.
Yeah.
Now, this is in Arkansas where the soil is much different than what you find here. And literally, I think you could go by and just throw out seeds in some cases.
Right.
But my grandfather on my mother's side was incredible. I mean, tomatoes that were just huge.
Beautiful tomatoes.
And you know, when they're homegrown, they taste so much better.
Oh, yeah.
They always do. But
They do.
potatoes and green onions, white radishes, oh my God, and strawberries.
Oh, I bet that was fantastic.
It was wonderful.
Yeah.
You know, and then he always made sure the family had plenty
Sure.
to eat. But he said, this is how we survived the Depression.
Right. My grandmother did the same thing in Bristow, Oklahoma. I remember her giant garden. She had vegetable garden.
Yeah.
And that's how how she and her family made it at that time.
I got to tell you, my grandfather, I got a minute, I get this in. My grandfather liked to get out with his hand plow, not the kind with a motor, and he'd go down the rows, and my grandmother had this long row of cannas. They were beautiful.
I love cannas.
And I'd get up and hide under them, and just before he'd get to where I'd be, I'd throw a rubber snake out. And he'd always do this little Irish dance. Oh, well. He had a strong heart.
Great story.
Thank you for coming in.
Oh, you're so welcome.
And
I've enjoyed it.
Keep us on your mailing list, will you?
Surely will.
And anything new that comes up, give us a call. Let's get you back.
And you know, anyone can visit our website, tulsamastergardeners.org, and see what we're doing. We're always got something in the mix that we're doing.
You're a delightful lady.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. We're going to take a short break, come back with more right after this.